Imagine driving down a lonely, sun-bleached highway in the heart of the Navajo Nation. The desert stretches out in every direction, a vast landscape of red rock and shifting sand. It is beautiful, but as the sun dips below the horizon, the silence of the desert begins to feel heavy. Suddenly, in your rearview mirror, you see something keeping pace with your car. At first, you think it's a coyote, but it's moving too fast, 60, 70 miles per hour. As it pulls alongside you, your blood turns to ice. It has the body of a wolf, but it is running on its hind legs, and its eyes are not the eyes of an animal. They are human eyes, filled with an ancient predatory malice. You press the gas, but it doesn't fall behind. It just stares at you, matching your speed, waiting for you to make one single mistake. You aren't being hunted by a beast. You are being hunted by a skinwalker. Welcome back to WA Mythos Atlas. Today, we are traveling to the Four Corners region of the United States, the sacred and mysterious ancestral lands of the Navajo or the Dine. In our previous expeditions, we faced the towering hunger of the Gashadakuro and the icy curse of the Wendigo. But the entity we discuss today is different. While the Wendigo is a spirit of starvation, the Skinwalker is something far more intimate and, in many ways, more terrifying. It is a human being who has traded their soul for ultimate power. In Navajo culture, they are known as the naaldlooshii, which literally translates to, with it, he goes on all fours. This is a topic so sensitive, so deeply feared, that many Navajo people refuse to even speak its name to outsiders, believing that simply talking about them can draw their attention. To understand the Skinwalker, we must first understand the Navajo concept of the attain, the medicine men and women. In the Navajo tradition, balance is everything. The medicine men are the healers, the keepers of sacred songs, and the protectors of the community's spiritual health. They use their knowledge of the natural and supernatural worlds to maintain hazo, a state of harmony, beauty, and order. But where there is great light, there must also be a profound shadow. The Skinwalker is that shadow. They are the inverse of the healer. They are individuals who were once gifted with spiritual knowledge, but chose to corrupt it for personal gain, revenge, and the pursuit of dark magic. The path to becoming a Skinwalker is not one of accident or tragedy. It is a path of deliberate, horrific choice. According to the most guarded legends, a person can only attain the powers of a naaldlooshii by committing an act that shatters the very foundations of human morality. The most common requirement cited is the ritual murder of a close family member, usually a sibling or a parent. By destroying the most sacred bond of kinship, the initiate effectively severs their connection to humanity and the natural order. In that moment of ultimate betrayal, they are granted the ability to shapeshift, to manipulate the minds of others, and to traverse vast distances in the blink of an eye. They become a living paradox, a human who has discarded their humanity to become something more and something much less. The most famous power of the Skinwalker, as the name suggests, is the ability to take the form of an animal. Typically, they choose predators associated with death or bad omens: the coyote, the wolf, the mountain lion, or the owl. It is said that by wearing the skin of the animal, the Skinwalker absorbs its speed, its senses, and its strength. However, these are not perfect transformations. If you look closely at a Skinwalker in animal form, the proportions are always slightly wrong. The limbs might be too long, the gait might be stiff and mechanical, or the tail might be missing. But the most unmistakable sign is the eyes. Animal eyes reflect light in a specific way, often glowing green or yellow in the dark. A Skinwalker's eyes, even in the body of a wolf, remain human. They do not reflect light. They absorb it, burning with an intelligent, hateful glow. But the horror of the Skinwalker extends far beyond physical shapeshifting. They are masters of psychological warfare and spiritual poisoning. A Skinwalker rarely attacks directly at first. They prefer to haunt the edges of your life. They are known to gather corpse powder, a toxic dust made from ground human bones, often taken from graves. They sprinkle this powder over the chimneys of homes or blow it into the faces of sleeping victims. This powder carries a curse that causes sudden illness, paralysis, or even death. They are also said to be able to lock eyes with a victim, seizing control of their body and forcing them to perform horrific acts against their will. The Skinwalker's presence is often heralded by specific, unsettling signs. You might hear the sound of something heavy pacing on the roof of your house in the middle of the night. You might find your livestock mutilated in ways that no natural predator could achieve, clean, surgical cuts with no blood left behind. Or, perhaps most chillingly, you might hear the voice of a relative calling out to you from the darkness outside your window, begging you to let them in. But the Navajo elders warn, never answer that voice. A skinwalker cannot enter a home unless they are invited. They are master mimics, capable of replicating any sound, from a crying infant to a dying animal, all designed to lure you away from the safety of the light. Why do they do it? What drives a human to become such a creature? In the Navajo worldview, the motivation is rarely as simple as evil. It is often rooted in a toxic combination of envy, greed, and the desire for social control. A skinwalker might target a successful neighbor out of jealousy, or a rival family to settle an ancient grudge. They thrive on the fear and chaos they create within the community. By remaining hidden, possibly living as a normal member of the tribe by day, they sow seeds of suspicion and paranoia. Anyone could be a skinwalker, the neighbor, the storekeeper, even a distant relative. This internal threat is what makes the legend so pervasive and so damaging to the social fabric of the desert communities. Perhaps the most terrifying aspect of the skinwalker is their persistence. They are not bound by the same physical limitations as humans. They can run for hundreds of miles without tiring. They can climb sheer rock walls with the agility of a spider. And they are incredibly difficult to kill. Conventional weapons often fail to harm them unless the ammunition has been treated with a specific sacred substance, usually white ash. The legends say that the only certain way to stop a skinwalker is to discover their true human identity. If you speak their human name to their face while they are in their animal form, the curse will reverse, and the skinwalker will wither away and die within 3 days. But knowing their name is a dangerous game, for the moment you know who they are, they know who you are too. The fear of the naaldlooshii is not a relic of the past. It is a living, breathing part of the modern Southwest. In the 1990s, the legend crossed over from tribal whispers into the global spotlight with the chilling reports coming out of a remote property in Utah, the Skinwalker Ranch. Researchers, scientists, and even military contractors documented a concentrated window of high strangeness. They reported massive wolf-like creatures that shrugged off bullets from high-powered rifles, invisible entities that mutilated cattle with surgical precision, and glowing orbs that seemed to be controlled by an intelligent, non-human force. While some dismiss these events as mass hysteria or top-secret military testing, the Ute tribes who have lived near the ranch for centuries have a different explanation. They call it the Path of the Skinwalker, a cursed corridor where the veil between our world and a darker dimension is dangerously thin. But to look at the skinwalker only through the lens of paranormal investigation is to miss the deeper, more tragic reality of the myth. To the Navajo, the skinwalker is the ultimate social predator. Unlike the Wendigo, which is often a victim of its own hunger, the skinwalker is a victimizer by choice. They are said to attend the way of the dark, secret gatherings in hidden caves, where they plot against the healthy members of society. This reflects a profound cultural fear of the enemy within. In a desert environment where survival depends entirely on communal trust and the sharing of resources, the person who hoards power or seeks to destroy their neighbor is the greatest threat of all. The skinwalker is the personification of antisocial behavior, the cold, calculating shadow of a heart that has rejected the beauty of Hazo. This brings us to the most dangerous aspect of the legend, the curse of the skinwalker. Many people who claim to have encountered these beings report a lingering sense of dread that lasts for years. It is said that once a skinwalker marks you, they never truly let go. They may follow you across state lines, appearing in your dreams or standing as a dark silhouette at the edge of your property in a completely different city. They are spiritual parasites, feeding on the adrenaline and the psychological collapse of their prey. There are accounts of people finding strange bundles of hair and bone hidden under their floorboards or tied to their car's chassis. Charms meant to anchor the skinwalker's influence to the victim's life. So, how does one survive the shadow of the desert? Navajo tradition emphasizes the power of white ash. Ash is seen as a purifying substance, the remnant of a sacred fire that has consumed the physical to reveal the spiritual. Painting one's forehead with ash or dusting the perimeter of a home is believed to create a barrier that the naaldlooshii cannot easily cross. But the most powerful defense is silence. Navajo elders teach that the more you talk about them, the more energy you give them. In their view, the modern fascination with skinwalkers, the movies, the podcasts, the internet threads, is actually feeding the very darkness it seeks to explain. By turning a sacred taboo into entertainment, we are inadvertently opening doors that were meant to stay closed. As the moon rises over the mesas of Arizona and New Mexico, the landscape transforms. The red rocks turn to jagged black shadows, and the wind begins to carry sounds that don't belong to the coyotes. The Skinwalker remains one of the few legends that still commands a genuine, hushed respect. It is a reminder that in the vast, empty spaces of the world, there are secrets that do not want to be found. It is a warning that power without morality is a cage, and that once you put on the skin of the predator, you may never be able to take it off. The Atlas of Myths is a journey through the light and the dark of the human experience. The Skinwalker shows us the terrifying potential of the human spirit when it turns inward and curdles into hate. It asks us a difficult question. If you were offered ultimate power at the cost of your soul, would you have the strength to walk the path of harmony, or would you reach for the skin? Thank you for traveling into the heart of the Navajo Nation with Mythos Atlas. If you felt the desert chill, make sure to like this video and subscribe to help us map out the next mystery. Our journey is far from over, and the shadows are only getting longer. Next time, we leave the desert behind and head to the misty hills of West Virginia to track a winged prophet of doom. But until then, keep your windows locked, stay on the paved roads, and if you see a wolf running on two legs, don't stop to look into its eyes. This has been Mythos Atlas. Stay balanced, stay safe, and never, ever answer the voice in the dark.